I'm going to talk a little bit about Trauma Center, Barefoot in the Park, Fahrenheit 11.9, and Medium Cool. And then I think James is going to talk a lot more about...
We'll be talking about, if I don't forget, about the Morning Star causing a huge disaster.
Ooh, cold seat.
roughly 1853 BC, somewhere around there.
Well, I don't think you'll get to that at all, because I think you'll be talking about Fahrenheit 11.9. Because you
oh, that's right. We're going to talk about that. I won't get around to that, but I'll have a lot to say about that. Was that Fahrenheit whatever? Was that Fahrenheit?
Trauma Center with Bruce Willis got top of the stack, although it is not a good movie. Bruce Willis has not been putting out anything of quality for a while now. But
he's capable of so much better.
I know, but I guess this is his retirement plan somehow. Maybe it's I don't know the reasoning behind it. Maybe he has health problems, or maybe it's a sort of like a charity thing. Maybe he sees some young actors that
need some help,
and he's like, okay, it's easy for me to do this, so whatever. I don't know what the reason behind it is, but it's not a great movie. Still, I enjoyed it more than this. Barefoot in the Park. I mean, I'd heard about this movie. I think everybody has. Robert Redford, Jane Fonda, they're big names, right? So, I would have expected a better movie out of these two together, and I'd heard about the movie before. I don't know why it has the big reputation. So this was put out in 1967, and there are some things I liked about the movie. I liked the fact that they're in this tiny little apartment, and he's a lawyer, but...
Is he kind of straight-laced and she's kind of...
Yeah. And
I've never seen the movie.
Really 6 flights of stairs, right? 5 flights plus the stoop. And yeah, it's... I like that. I like the fact that they're in this tiny little apartment, and it's really a bachelor suite, but they're, she's trying to make it better than it is or whatever, and she's trying to be all optimistic about it. But honestly, watching this movie the whole time, I'm thinking, if I'd married her, annulment, like immediately.
You're just kind of ditzy or something?
No, she's really awful. She's awful. I don't care how beautiful she is and all that. She's extremely demanding, and I guess there's women like that. But anyway, this doesn't attract me at all. This movie, it's not good. Not a good movie. Now, Fahrenheit 11.9. I expected better from Michael Moore. I'll say that. James doesn't like Michael Moore, and he doesn't like his movies, but I actually like watching his movies. I find them informative and entertaining. Like, there's one part of this movie that was entertaining. I mean, it's over the top as far as I'm concerned, comparing Trump to Hitler, but when they have the Trump speech with Hitler in the background, and when he puts this, that was great. I actually laughed. It was good.
Well, it's basically a photo clip, silent, of Hitler, and then was it a Trump speech?
Yeah.
Now this must be a remake of Fahrenheit 11.9, right?
What? This is Fahrenheit 11.9. You watched Fahrenheit 9/11 a long time ago.
Okay, there we go. So this is 11.9.
Yeah, he's trying to make an artistic sort of connection with between all of the movies. Like, he started with Fahrenheit 9/11, and then, well, actually, he'd done some before then, didn't he? Yeah.
He used to have
but it's
a
really
show
this
called
the
TV
connection.
Nation.
Yeah, no, he'd done some other movies though. Like, there was
Yeah.
I can't remember. But anyway, this is really a connection since Fahrenheit 9/11.
Yeah, fighting birds.
Yeah, it's spring. Not only love is in the air, but like guys outside of a bar fighting over some lady. So
I think that's what's happening. Not about the food.
So I'm sorry I'm so tired. We went hiking yesterday and I'm beat, which is why James' dinner is not that inspiring.
Oh, it's awesome.
I got it there. I got it on the table. So Michael Moore is making a connection between the movies he's made since Fahrenheit 9/11. And so this is 11/9, and it's just his connections are wrong. He's made wrong connections. And if he wanted to make, it seems at first that he's making a movie about Trump. Well, there's a lot of information about Trump. If you wanted to make a good movie about Trump, you didn't.
You could make a whole series of movies about Donald Trump. Yeah. You don't have to deal with all the other stuff.
So, and we see in this, I was going to call it a movie, this documentary of sorts, he shows the Republicans, certain Republicans being acting favorably towards his movies and stuff, which is funny, right? That he includes that and he doesn't make the connection. And yet he's included it. Come on, you're almost there. So, and he has, what's her name? Is it Rashida?
Rashida something or other. I think she was elected to the House of Representatives.
Well,
he says she's a Muslim, but she'd be way secular. She might be a secular Muslim, but she sounds like at least a borderline communist.
Well, anyway, at one point, a clip of her is shown, and she's like, yeah, certain Republicans, they're telling me, wow, we don't agree with your message, but we really think that you're very courageous and this and that and whatever. So they're responding favorably to her.
We should preface that with, she said, one Democrat was telling me to cut it out.
Yeah.
And then she said there were a couple of Republicans that were patting her on the back.
And here she is, she's thinking, oh, I'm doing really great, I'm so courageous and whatever. No, you're not. You're actually, the reason that the Republicans are going up to you and saying, oh yeah, good job, because you're working for them. And Michael Moore, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You're working for them. And you don't even realize it, I think.
He'd actually get funding.
He probably is.
I think it's surreptitious. I'd like to give him credit. From Republicans, he might even get it from Putin now.
I don't even know if he needs to. Why would they fund him if they don't need to fund him? He might just be doing this without any funding from them at all. And
it's possible. He's got enough kind of like notoriety so that he'll get the movies out. But they could, the more money they give him, the more they can distribute and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you don't know that. You don't know if they're funding him, and neither do I.
Okay. All I'm saying is it would be a huge temptation for them to.
Yeah. Unless they don't need to, because he's doing it for free.
Okay.
For their pocket.
Of course. The thing is, they could maximize their gains. So I'd be shocked if Rashida, whatever her name is, isn't getting money from the Republicans and from Putin too.
Yeah. Well. Anyway. So, James will talk more about that. I'll just say I thought the movie it lacked continuity. It seemed like he found some other clips that he thought, oh, I wish I'd use this in whatever movie from the past, right? And so he decided, let's link these all together. But it just didn't work. It didn't work at all. It was long. Let's see how long. 2 hours, 8 minutes. And it seemed longer.
So I think his first movie was Roger and Me.
You're right. I think that was.
So it's I support still what he did there. I support what he did, revealing what was happening with. Well, first he was talking about the hollowing out of American industry, and he was looking at Flint. And like it used to be an auto industry place, and then they started moving stuff. This is the Republicans moving stuff. They tried to make United States in a huge service center, and they were offloading industry to places where capitalists wouldn't have so many problems with unions and stuff like that. So Roger and Me, Flint, and then he did stuff about the Flint water system. And stuff like that.
I thought it was very important.
Of course. But when he gets involved with federal politics, he has no clue.
Anyway.
You finally got through that thing, eh?
Well, you're going to talk about it, so I don't feel like I need to. Because he talked my ear off all the way to Waterton yesterday about it. So
about Medium Cool? A little bit. It's more about Michael Moore.
Fahrenheit 11.9.
Exactly well.
So, So I'm sure.
But you're going to review
this. Well, I have to. It's the bottom of the stack. Yeah. But I have to talk about it. Medium Cool, this was put out in 1969. And it's a movie, but it's made to sort of show what's happening at the times, right? It's set in Chicago, so this is the Chicago riots and this, that. And whatever, it's really badly done. I don't know why this has been restored and because it's awful. It's really bad. I expected better, and I don't know why.
And you were
the ending
tired,
was.
Right? Did you get any writing done while it was going on?
No, that's it. Well, maybe that's part of it too, because I'm accustomed to watching movies while I'm writing, and so I'm not really. I don't have to be focused on them, and so whatever. They're just, and then when I'm forced to be focused on, I feel like I'm in prison or something. And really, I guess I was. My mind was imprisoned by Medium Cool, and it was not cool at all. The ending was okay. I did like the going past the car crash and somebody's taking a picture. That was good. And then the camera being put on the audience. Okay, whatever. But that was as artistic as this film was. I guess you could say maybe there's some things that aren't really said, but about poor children or children from poor families being neglected. They're not being watched because it took a while for the mother to notice, where's my kid, and then whatever. Anyway, but this was crap, absolute crap. There was one point in the movie where it's really about it follows one character in particular, somebody who's filming. He's filming the things like the Chicago riots and whatever things.
1968.
Yeah, things that are relevant at the time, newsworthy things, whatever events. So here he is. He's filming, and it starts out, and he's like, what I really hate is I go filming in these places, and the police want to beat me up, and the protesters want to beat me up. Because, they think I'm working for the government or filming for the government or whatever. So they're, everywhere I go, everyone wants to beat me up, and I hate that, But, anyway, one point he goes to, I guess maybe it was an apartment building or something, or maybe just an apartment, where there's a bunch of African American people, and one cabbie who was a very honest cab driver. He'd found money in the back, he turned it in, and then so he wanted to make a story about this. This filmmaker this cameraman, he wants to make film this guy, interview him and whatever, and he's getting the gears by the other people who are in the flat, and one guy comes over and he says, I want you to recognize I saved your life just now. And it's like, what? And what's that gonna mean, later on? And one guy in the apartment was giving his friend or family, it's not clear, the cab driver, the gears about, you found all that money in the back of your cab. Do you know how many guns that would have bought us? And this and that and whatever, right? But at the same time, this is just a movie. Who cares? So you might be wanting to link some of this stuff to Fahrenheit 11/9 or whatever. But this is just a movie. This didn't happen. It's based on some events that happen, but how accurate were the filmmakers at showing us that? I mean, they're really bad at it, and it seemed biased, and it's not believable. So this bottom of the stack, it's not worth watching. So James is going to talk about Fahrenheit 11/9, and I'm going to leave you with that and try to lay down and hope I will sleep a little bit.
I might talk about medium cool.
Well, okay.
I might talk about Barefoot in the park.
Well,
how much time is left? 15?
You have almost 15 minutes, so you might talk about it.
I'm going to grab the booklet that came with the medium cool.
It's in there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry for taking my time. I don't really like talking with my mouth full. I do it sometimes. I'm kind of embarrassed of it, but what's that? I'm going to talk more about medium cool. So Pauline can return that there. So, who did this thing? Was it Wexler or something? Anyway, talks about the Occupy movement, seems to be enthused about that. So that was about 2011 or so. That's when I was coming down with cancer. Well, in the last stage of multiple myeloma. Luckily enough, I was recovered from that. Classed as terminal for a month and a half. Not much more, but that's enough. So when I was in Vietnam with Jane Fonda, what Wexlers were called. Yeah. So I guess this dude is Wexler. So Wexler did just as the film pulses backward and forward in time, it's difficult to think of that summer in Chicago. So that's 1968, the Democratic presidential convention. Summed her up. That summer in Chicago, without also conjuring up images of the Occupy movement, one of Wexler's most recent documentary subjects. You know, when that was happening, when the Occupy movement was happening, I think it was 2011, I was just saying, this is irrelevant. And it proved to be irrelevant. Like, what happened out of that? What came in the wake of that? 2011. Well, you know, like Obama got reelected, but yeah, he did get reelected 2012, but 5 years after, Donald Trump gets elected. What did it change? Things got worse. So yeah, so this guy Wexler, Haskell Wexler, Wexler is probably how you should say it, but we'll Americanize it and say Wexler. Okay. The collision of Hollywood and global politics would also be particularly dramatic in Introduction to the Enemy, 1974, a film he made with Tom Hayden, probably should be said Haydn, like the composer, spelled a little bit differently, but I think it's mispronounced Hayden. And movie star turned activist Jane Fonda, that documented their trip to Hanoi and the liberated, Quang Tri, yeah, it wasn't liberated. It was subjugated. Subjugated. When commies take over, it's not liberation, it's subjugation. And close to the subjugation of the worst sort. The subjugation involves ethnic cleansing, torture, murder, disappearances. In many cases, genocide, slave labor to death, on and on it goes. And so to call it liberation is stunningly wrong. It's not just wrong. It's not just subjection. It's subjection, like I say, I think maybe the Nazis were worse, maybe, than, let's say, Stalin or Mao. Or the followers of Ho Chi Minh, who would have taken over Quang Tri province and stuff like that. Or Pol Pot. Robert Mugabe's not quite so bad, or wasn't quite so bad. I think he's dead now. He should have died of embarrassment, but, well, acute shame, really. But, yeah. Anyway, this guy is I understand in 1974, Tom Hayden, I believe, was still a confirmed Maoist. Now, you know, like, if you'd had that level of, within this, even there in 74 in the Soviet Union, that level of, you know, like it'd be like a Nazi in the Soviet Union, a confirmed Nazi. It wouldn't have gone well for him. But he ended up kinda, I think, semi-recanting. I don't think he did an official recantation. Theoretically, he's presumably given up on Maoism, but he's still a politician in the United States. You know, he wasn't sent down. The Maoists would have sent him out to the farm or something. Well, if it had been a Nazi, they would have just killed him, you know, for treason or something like that. When you're a Maoist, when you're a Trotskyist, when you are a Marxist-Leninist in a democratic society, understand, I'm not a nationalist, you are a traitor, not to that society as a nation. You are a traitor to democracy. You are committing treason. Doesn't matter if you're, I don't do violence here. I just, you know, like encourage other people to do violence and stuff like that against a democratic system. You know, that's the kind of system that the IRA ran in, they might still be doing it now, at least portions of it, factions of it, where they'd have their political leader, I don't have anything to do with the army, and then they have their terrorist army. And theoretically, hermetically sealed from another. You can't fool me. Eh? Same sort of thing with Nelson Mandela and the ANC. African National Congress. You know, like he's in jail. I understand with the level of, the terrorism that ANC was practicing. If that had been in a communist nation, he wouldn't have survived. You grasp that, right? He wouldn't have survived. And the South Africans, the Afrikaans people, the whites, whatever you want to call them, were, or not call them, were saying, we'll let you go free if you give up on terrorism. No way! I'm a peaceful guy, but I'm not telling my followers to give up on terrorism. Okay, there you go. He was a revolutionary terrorist. He had people in his umbrella organization who were avowed Marxists, Trotskyists, communists. All of those people are revolutionary terrorists. Am I making things up? Am I being melodramatic? I think not. Read your Lenin. If you can't read him in the original Russian, read him in translation. You can get hold, I assume, kind of the equivalent almost of junk dealers, of the official Russian translations, commie translations into English. And you'll find that a sound bite for him, I call it, when you're dealing with brutes like him and Mao, sound chumps. And his little formulation is revolutionary terrorism. And as far as he's concerned, that's awesome. So the end justifies the very mean means. Yeah. So, you know, for me, as an ethnographer and filmmaker, Jean Rouch once remarked, ethnographer, oh God. Okay. Is a ethnography, the science of the thought system of others, and how they really don't matter unless they agree with yours, is a permanent. Yeah, I added that little a footnote there. It's not in the original. The science of the thought from one conceptual universe to another. Acrobatic gymnastics, where losing one's footing is the least of the risks. Oh God, spare me. So somewhere in here, early on, foregrounding, cut out the crappy social science or anti-social pseudoscience. It's a huge misnomer, a double-barreled misnomer to call the social sciences social sciences. They're anti-social pseudosciences. Sometimes you have to lie to tell the truth. That's a good old left-wing formulation, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, cut out the crap. It was a crappy movie from what I could tell. I was listening to it in the background while I was trying to sleep, and it wasn't even good enough to really get my blood boiling. Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 11/9. So, wow, you know, like one of the most urgent films ever made. And here's Jane Fonda. We talk. This is before she started hanging around with Tom Hayden, became a so-called activist. You know, like, have you ever seen footage of her? You know, like, they've got her in a gun nest. Well, not a nest, like behind maybe something to deliver surface-to-air missiles. I presume it was in Hanoi. She's wearing this stupid helmet and stuff like that, doing commie propaganda. If she'd been doing that against the commies, she probably would have ended up in a psychiatric institution, getting Lord only knows what, shock treatment, LSD treatment, lobotomy, at that point in time. In the era of Stalin, she just would have disappeared. Bullet in the back of the head or back of the neck. So, the real villains here aren't Donald Trump. They are centrist, or he